How much do you think fear is feeding into sort of these campaigns and even voters though, right? Because there's this electability argument that's still coming up with Elizabeth Warren and Amy Klobuchar because they're women. The feeling that I get sometimes is that Democratic voters are so scared by the 2016 result that they're more concerned with what Trump's base would like or vote for rather than who their preference is.
I think fear is the predominant emotion among voters and everyone else. And I don't necessarily think it's just worrying about what Trump's base is going to do, because Trump's base is going to vote for Trump, right? But we don't need Trump's base.
Okay.
What we need are those people in Milwaukee,
right? Yeah.
Who voted for Trump but then have since voted for Democrats, and we need them to continue voting for Democrats.
Right.
Or those people in Arizona who voted for Romney and voted for Hillary and then make sure they still vote for Democrats. And I think it's very hard to judge electability, right? It's hard to know what makes an electable candidate. But I don't necessarily think it's wrong for a lot of Democratic voters to wake up every day and think, I am so scared of losing this election to Donald Trump, and I don't want to make the wrong decision about who we nominate.
Right.
Because as I found out talking to some of these voters, it does depend on who we nominate as a candidate. Some of them are saying, I will not vote for whoever the Democratic nominee is. And it doesn't mean they're apathetic. It just means that they are very busy and they're sort of turned off from politics because it's a mess, and they really care about it, but they can't understand it as much as they'd like to. And they want to see who we nominate.
So that's a real concern for people.
I think it's
people
a real
who
concern.
might stay home.
I think it's hard to judge, but it's a real concern. I think when people hear someone hasn't decided yet or someone doesn't know if they're going to vote, they say, how could you do that? You know, this is so important. Why don't you care?
Yeah.
And it's not that they don't care. It's not that they're apathetic. I talked to a woman in Philadelphia, and she said, you know, I spent all my life trying to raise my kid who has autism, and we're on Medicaid. And politics should be incredibly important to me. It matters to my life and to my child's life what happens with healthcare in this country. But I turned on those debates and I couldn't understand what was going on. I turn on television, everyone's yelling at each other.
Yeah.
And she's like, I feel like they need an understanding class, she said, so that people know what's going on in these elections and can actually follow it, because it matters to me, but right now, all I see is people yelling and saying confusing acronyms and all kinds of stuff, and it's hard to follow.
Right.
And it shouldn't be. You know, I talked to David Plouffe, who was Obama's campaign manager, and he was talking about the importance of sharing positive content about the nominee, right? He's like, think about 2016. How many times did you share in your social networks Hillary Clinton's healthcare plan?
Right.
Or Hillary Clinton's criminal justice plan?
Right.
You know, I think we've become pretty good at like fighting back against Trump's lies.
Yeah.
But we haven't become very good at sharing the positive message and the vision and the policies of the Democratic Party. And we all have, you know, Twitter feeds, Facebook accounts, Instagram accounts, whatever it may be. And because people are so distrustful of the media these days, they are more trustful of their social circle, their friends, their networks.
Right.
And so if you can start sharing more content in your networks, that helps combat a lot of this disinformation. 2018 showed us that the votes are out there for Democrats to win this election. It happened. We won an election in the Trump era by a huge margin. We won because we turned out new voters, and we also won because we persuaded a bunch of people who voted for Donald Trump and Republicans in the past to switch sides. And we have to do both of those things in 2020. We can't just pick one or the other. And we need a candidate who can do both of those things. And it's not just on the candidate either, it's on all of us to make it happen, because in a close election, it gives each of us more power to affect the outcome.